people are not aware of PR.
Okay.
Often they mistake it for advertising. There's a huge difference between advertising and PR. I've been passionate about media right from my childhood.
Okay.
So even as a kid, I used to borrow the newspaper from a neighbor and read. That passionate I was about media. So that was my beginning to get into this kind of a profession. But I never imagined that I could get into it. It was also accidental. I became a PR professional. There was a huge crisis at a company I was working with, and the concerned PR person, for some reason, was not there to handle it. I was given this assignment, and from there, there was no looking back. I loved the profession so much that I left whatever experience I had in some marketing and other things and got into it. And adding to that, I got a perspective of how media works, and I worked with those publications, The Hindu and India Today. So, and also it familiarized to me how to approach. Basically, what happens in PR is you also need to have good access to the journalists. Kind of this thing. You should be more pally with them and things like that. Those kind of things. I used to love those things, and somehow I had excellent relationship with the media. That helped me in one of the ways to get into this profession, and that way I have a deep understanding insight of how media functions.
As you said, relationship building. So
Right.
you believed in that, and I think in PR you are more dependent on relationships.
PR is like an advocate.
Correct.
So you need to multitask. There are multiple things which you need to do good advocacy on behalf of your company. You need to draft the right kind of, so communication should also be there. In addition to this, you also need to be a good networker. So that way, whatever I'm doing today, all those things help me being a BNI member, being an advocate, and also to some extent the communication. These three aspects are important for a person to be successful in PR.
So, sir, after more than 2 decades in PR, what is the biggest misconception business owners have about public relations?
Basically, people are not aware of PR.
Okay.
Often they mistake it for advertising. There's a huge difference between advertising and PR.
Right.
Advertising is basically your own voice. Whatever you convey is being conveyed to your reader or your consumer, and that doesn't get the kind of credibility. Nobody wants to listen to all the good things you speak about your own product.
Everybody is good in the world, right? Nobody will say bad.
I only speak good about my product. I won't the lacunae I won't showcase.
Correct.
So that's where people don't trust the advertising totally. And advertising is more of a reminder media. PR is an opportunity where you can go and publicize and inform your consumer or your stakeholders about what your product, your company, or whatever you're doing PR about. And PR is something, even before you do any other promotion exercise, you should be doing PR. Because any news which is stale will not be eligible to get into newspaper, right? News has to be new, and that's when it can get into a newspaper. So, and that is a leverage which people don't understand and avail it. Only professional companies, big companies avail PR. Companies like Tata or Apollo Hospital focused more on, they place their stakes more on PR than on advertising. And also the other aspect is PR is almost 1/100th of the expense of an advertising can. While advertising, as I said, is a reminder media, PR is a information kind of a media source for the public. And looking at the simple example, like when you buy a newspaper or when you go to a news channel, what is that you initially want to see? Why are you subscribing to a newspaper? The reason you are subscribing to a newspaper is to read the news, not to see the ads happen when you're flipping through. But originally you go to see, you are eagerly waiting to see what is happening. So the objective or the logic of PR is to get your content, your information in the news, where tap that source where the individual is likely to reach. And it has credibility because unlike in advertisement, as I said, it's your language which is reflecting there. But in PR, there is a third person who doesn't have stake in your business. He genuinely wants to convey to his reader the actual position about the product or service or whatever your facts. So he will do a thorough, he'll first have a thorough understanding of it and write his own opinion, content about the product or the service. So that wins the credibility of the reader would trust that because it's coming from a third person and not from the company itself.
Yes. So that way the reader will feel that this is some credible source of information
Exactly.
and not an advertisement.
Exactly. So that's how, we all, if something appears in a newspaper, we take it for granted. It's something.
And so that way, is PR only for companies or can anybody?
Anything, like I said, anything new.
Okay. So whenever something new is going to launch, you need to go through PR first.
Not just launch, even, somebody won an award. Some hospital has some procedure with new procedure done. It is an opportunity when you're launching a new technology, new way of doing things.
So you will suggest me which platform should I go? Like, will my article or will my new press release go to only newspaper or only TV or even in magazine, or how will you decide?
See, generally we have opportunities like doing a press release, a press conference, or an interaction. That is one-to-one interview, or an article format. These are the 4 ways which we go through. In addition to, besides this is all positive PR, we also have crisis management. Right? So this is basically something where you don't require much inquiry to be done into it. Okay, basic straightforward information is what can go as a press release. But where you need interaction and to understand the subject, you need a press conference. In press conference, you have the journalist coming to the press conference, and he, after understanding whatever you have to convey, he would pose some questions.
Correct.
And those are the ones which make news. And in an interview, it's a one-to-one, like how we are doing. Or otherwise, an article, a doctor writes an article about a disease or something like that. Or it could be anything. It could be about new trends in HR or things like that. So an article which is published. But the difference I'll tell you with an article or with the press release is, since it's a written format which we are sending, we can't have electronic media. That is the TV channels carry. TV channels need some space like where you expose the product or you talk about it.
Right.
So these can't be published in the
Press. Only on the TV.
They mostly print.
Great. And you also talked about reputation management.
Yes.
So one example is, which I think right now, not example, but one scenario for which reputation management is required right now is Indigo. Right. Indigo is having so many backslashes. They are being, blamed for so many delays. I think now Indigo will definitely go for a reputation management.
Absolutely.
And they will have to do it.
Right.
And in such scenarios, PR will be
More effective than any other media.
So that is where Sir's expertise come in.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
So good. We came to know some good examples. Thanks for sharing that knowledge, sir.
And crisis management is another aspect of PR which is most sought after, because once you gain reputation, there is always a scope that your reputation could be sullied by someone.
Correct.
For some reason.
Exactly. Yes.
For some reason. So crisis management plays a very critical role, because no amount of advertising will convince the consumer. But when a journalist or a newspaper knows the facts and writes the actual facts, then it helps a lot. And we always advise consumers or the clients who are who have this challenge to come upfront with whatever information. Like with an advocate, you tell what happens.
Correct.
So then we know what it is. We know how to tune it and present it to media, so that they also get the right perspective and they also trust your information which you share.
So there is a process to it which we should follow, but it should be coming from an expert guidance.
Right.
So let's move on, sir. So in your experience, when does PR deliver more long-term value than advertising or digital marketing? Yeah, what is your experience saying?
It's definitely, I'll tell you a scenario. Probably to give you an example, sometime in 2017, that's when digital marketing started rising.
Boom.
So what happened with a lot of our clients started shifting their budgets to digital marketing and dividing between PR and digital marketing. But suddenly I realized post-COVID, all these clients who were spending more on digital marketing are coming back and spending on us. The reason being, I'm not casting any aspersions on any medium. I'm just telling you the reasoning, the logic being behind it. Basically, what happens with either advertising or digital marketing is, like I said earlier, it is our own message, the company's message. So it lacks that credibility. But PR is, since I told you, it comes through via media, so it has that credibility. So what companies have started doing with PR now is they still use PR because there's so much clutter in the digital space. So consumers are not in a position to make out which is genuine and which is not genuine. So to get that credibility to that message, they do a PR exercise and then carry that in the digital media.
So they start with PR, man.
So that gets them the credibility, and PR gets, and digital media gets the right kind of
Reach, right? So it has to be like a new hybrid model. Very
absolutely.
you should put your digital.
Yes, yeah. And the best part about PR, like I said, is it has to be used first. If it is already in the new media space, through digital media advertising, it's still, the media will not carry it. Media wants fresh news. So first do for any exercise, first plan for PR and then go for all other promotional means. Also because the promotional means are just reminder media. This is an information media and this is much cheaper, many times cheaper than the other.
Okay.
What is?
Yeah, these actually, even I was not aware that it is so much cost effective.
Right.
I will also definitely try and do it in future. So let's move on now. Something about crisis management we spoke. So when a brand faces a media crisis, what should the leaders do in their first 24 hours and what they should absolutely avoid?
In a crisis situation, what happens is they are first petrified. So here, for everything, there could be a reason. If we come out with the kind of logic that it has, we can at least, we may not be in a position to diminish the entire damage, but we can to some extent reduce the price.
Subdue it, right?
Basically. So PR that way helps. No other media can be useful. PR definitely. Once your consumer understands the challenge, they are more receptive to it. Otherwise, the damage, it goes like a wildfire. So PR has to be utilized immediately. And most of the time, what happens with clients during crisis management is they don't reveal all the facts to us. If they reveal all the facts to us, we will be in a better position to handle it. We will be in a better even the media will understand things. Then it's much easier to handle it. Otherwise, if you don't reveal all the information, still the damage can't be controlled so much. And the other part which the client has to do is, first and foremost thing, it has to be handled immediately.
Not delayed.
Not delayed, because once the crisis is over, nobody will go back after a week or after 2-3 days and see, okay, the matter which was very hot, at that time you should strike. If you're striking later, it will not have the same impact.
That is important here.
Very important. Immediately you should try to control it before it becomes wild. And second part is, and when you're communicating, you should be only going through one channel with one message. It should not be multiple people involved in it, giving different. That would create a lot of confusion and it will be a huge disaster.
Okay. So timing is important and sticking to one channel is one of the most important things. Okay. Any examples can you share if you have? Without revealing the
I should not be naming any clients, but most of the time I have handled hospitals. So in hospitals, virtually every day is a crisis because for reasons like, if somebody doesn't want to pay the amount which is there,
even falsely,
they will make some allegations, call some media guy, and they will also come running, hoping for a great story.
Correct.
And without logic. So I'll tell you one simple story. This is, we had a movie called Tower.
Okay.
So in this movie, it was shown that a patient had died in an ICU and he was retained. The corpse was retained for a few days just to collect the money, for the balance amount. But that was, some media wanted to make some noise. So they created a huge thing about it. And because similar thing appeared in a movie. So it was accepted by the reviewers also, public also. But the actual fact is, we went back with this story saying that, see, any corpse, ICU is a very sensitive area. There are already people who are all not so healthy,
who are getting recovery
healthy. And if something like the infection spreads, corpse being in a closed area, ICU is a closed area.
Right.
The infection spreads very fast. It impacts everybody else in that room, this thing. So no hospital will take the risk of retaining the corpse for even a minute
More
There.
10 minutes, right?
So when we went with this logic to the media, they understood the fact,
Okay.
and the entire thing turned.
Narrative changed correctly. Okay.
So this is very important.
That's why PR is important in such scenarios.
No advertisement would have got you this. We had to convince, because media was the one which created this story. We had to convince the media, tell them the logic that you are wrong. The public also realized what it was.
Great. So this is how PR helps in our crisis situations. Good to know that, sir. So to move forward, not every story deserves media attention.
Absolutely.
How do you decide what is genuinely newsworthy and reputation building?
So being in this industry and understanding the media, understanding PR, we know what trends and what doesn't trend. And something could be a stale news also. Sometimes what happens is clients feel that they have done something great, but it is already in the news, or it's been somebody else who have done. So that's where we come into the scene, because it will be a waste effort. More than waste effort, the client loses credibility. And for us, our client is very important. We don't want our client to lose credibility, because in future we can't generate that kind of. Once the credibility is lost, the trust is lost, media will not believe in their news in future. So we always do an exercise to see whether this definitely gets into the media. Sometimes we even check with because among the journalists also, they're specialists. So we check with them also sometimes to come back with that kind of a feedback. If it is genuinely new, we go ahead with it. Sometimes when we feel it may not click, we tell them what could be done to that story.
So you consult them.
What could be done to the story, so that you can do some fine tuning and then present it to media, so that it makes news.
One question related to your LLB, sir. How has completing your LLB changed the way you approach corporate communication, especially during sensitive or high risk situations? How has that helped you? The LLB part has helped you in your.
Yeah. Basically, like I said, advocacy is one skill even in PR. Okay, we have to go back and convince the journalist, right? And also the client. Both the ways that we have to do. So it helps us. That is one as a skill part. But in terms of knowledge about law, it helps me also to talk to the client and tell him what would be right and wrong in case of a crisis or some things like that. And also, when we are drafting a press release also, we don't carry any misinformation which would spoil our credibility as well as that.
That way LLB has helped.
Absolutely.
So even before becoming an LLB, you were a lawyer. I think
Skills.
because of your skills and the day-to-day activities that you do that help you become an LLB easier, I think. But congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
Wish you all the best for your future endeavors, sir. I think sir is also pursuing more postgraduate degrees, right? We will talk about it in our second podcast sometime soon. But before we leave, one last question, sir. At what stage should a company seriously invest in PR, and what outcomes should leadership realistically expect from a PR agency or a PR company?
So I was telling you about two best examples which in the industry. That is, one is Tata and another is Apollo. Both these brands grew over the years, of course, because of PR.
Okay. So PR was their main
way of reaching out to the public.
Okay.
And that's how they have a very strong foundation as a brand. The trust they built, it is because of PR. So every company or everyone who wants to, be it an individual or a corporate or an NGO, whoever it be, if they want to build their brand's equity, the best way is PR. They should engage PR constantly. They should be looking for opportunities to do a PR exercise. But saying that, I would also say, if there is not an opportunity, let's not create one opportunity for PR sake.
Okay.
So every opportunity you find, you consult your PR consultant, find out if it works or not. If it works, avail it. And even if sometimes it doesn't give you the kind of reach you are looking at, doesn't matter, but be persistent with it.
Okay, don't expect immediate results, but putting up your PR activity is important.
Yeah. Basically, PR works in a subtle manner. It's not aggressive. It's in a subtle manner.
Great. Good to know that. And I will definitely be continuing our discussion with Srinivas sir. And thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you very much, Sachin, for taking your time and give me this opportunity.
Thank you for the audience for watching this podcast, and we will come back soon with a new episode. Thanks. This conversation shows why public relations is not about noise but about credibility built over time. If you are a founder, a leader, or a professional who values long-term reputation, this episode will change how you think about PR. Watch, reflect, and apply. Subscribe to Digisamvad Business Podcast for conversations that build authority, not hype.